namba moja. Yesu asante Bwana, namba moja. Nafasi yote kwa Yesu, nafasi yote moyoni, nafasi nimeshatembea, nimeshazunguka kila pali, nikifika kila kona, nimejaribu kutafuta kinachoweza kuridhisha moyo wangu, nikatangatanga mashariki na kusini, ili mradi nitafute, nikamangamanga magharibi kaskazini, kupata kile ninachotaka. Wimbo nafasi yote moyoni mwangu, moja moja, nafasi moyoni mwa Yesu Mwokozi wangu, nafasi yote moyoni nimeshaipa kwa Yesu. Juhudi zangu zote zilipogonga mwamba, nikafa moyo, nikakata tamaa, ndio Bwana akaja kanigusa, nikasimama, nikaanza kutembea. Asante Bwana Mwokozi wangu, nimetambua kama nimekupata. Pewa wimbo, pewa sifa. Asante Yesu, nimeshatembea, nimeshazunguka kila pali, nikifika kila kona, nimetambua nimekupata. Bwana Yesu Mwokozi wangu, nafasi yote moyoni nimeshaipa kwa Yesu, ni namba moja. Pewa sifa. Asante Bwana, asante Bwana, namba moja, wewe namba moja moyoni, nafasi yote moyoni mwangu nimeshaipa Yesu. Nafasi nafasi yote nimeshaipa wewe Yesu. Asante Bwana kuniponya, pewa sifa. Asante, nafasi yote nimekupa Bwana, nafasi namba moja. Asante Bwana, pewa sifa. Asante Yesu, Bwana Yesu, umeniponya, umenilinda. Asante Bwana, nafasi yote nimekupa.
From sunrise to sunset, 'all day and night. Pawa Radio.
gentleman. We healthy na kunywa get to my vitamins. Mgenge sipenda get my vitamin. Don't go fresh. Napiga shower na dunge meresh. Most buga sina get trash. Acha my skin tone high na get raw. Shit, I like your mini skirt. Relax, sipenda get my shortcut. The more nakana mimi, the more nakuhit. Uko set, uko fresh. Kaspel kako kampo na mo ed. Mademu wangu si wachapi sweep. Mio cheers now zip. Chekini mifunga zip. Wenyambie sinani. Anakujaga na nani kwa nani. Nasikiaga na mpiaga nini kwa nini. Leo wewe umedunga kamini bila nini. Usiulize nini, usiulize minini. I'm a gentleman, yes I am.
Nipate baby kwenye bar, uliza shorty what you drinking. You know you're rolling with a gentleman. Na uliza utapewa nini. Nipate baby kwenye bar, uliza shorty what you drinking. What you drinking, shorty? You know you're rolling with a gentleman. Na uliza utapewa nini.
Hey yo, ladies and gentlemen, introducing Flash of the gentleman, madam wananipenda. Oh yeah, I'm a ladies man. Always niko kazi, so yeah, I'm a businessman. Wananitaka Flash, yeah, the Superman. Jua toto niko nao, niwe Superman. Nikiwa kwenye bar, venye miuka, venye miuva, ay, swaga balam. Baby unakunywa nini? Pewa unachotaka kwani iko nini? Pose, si atina kukatia. Baniki kupata siwezi mind pia. Baby unakunywa nini? Pewa unachotaka kwani iko nini? Pose, si atina kukatia. Baniki kupata siwezi mind pia.
Siwezi mind mama. Nipate baby kwenye bar, uliza shorty what you drinking. What you drinking mama? You know you're rolling with a gentleman. Na uliza utapewa nini. Nipate baby kwenye bar, uliza shorty what you drinking mama. You know you're rolling with a gentleman. Na uliza utapewa nini.
In your lifetime, girl, hii ni chance. Yes, only chance ya kuroll na a gentleman. Come close, mami tupate dance. Yes, baby doll, mini wako all night. I keep my swag right, all white. Na leo nina date na Snow White. A rare kind, born eye. Ladies go mental, smiles all dental. We getting sentimental, katempo kako gentle. Mini yule, tangu shule. Pata notice sasa baby come tule. Mini yule, tangu shule. Pata notice sasa baby come tule.
Nipate baby kwenye bar, uliza shorty what you drinking. You know you're rolling with a gentleman. Na uliza utapewa nini. Nipate baby kwenye bar, uliza shorty what you drinking. You know you're rolling with a gentleman. Na uliza utapewa nini. I got you baby. Cause I got you. Shorty what you drinking. I got you. I got you. I got you. Utapewa nini. I got you baby. Cause I got you. Shorty what you drinking. You know you're rolling with a gentleman. I got you baby. I got you. Utapewa nini.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
All right. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to yet again another edition of the Power Morning Drive Show with me and Wanyoike. It's so good to see you. I'm so excited to be rolling with you this morning. Thank you so much for taking the time to spend the morning with us. You know how we do it right here on the Power Morning Drive. Kamakawa, we start off with the day's traffic updates. Let you know what is happening on the streets of Nairobi. And then later on, we get into the day's news headlines, and then after that we shall be having a conversation about how grassroots movements are driving socio-economic change. And of course we have one and only Tevin Kote. He's the communications lead at Badili Africa, and they're doing an amazing job at ensuring that they're centering grassroots movements in ensuring that socio-economic, and I think in this time political is not something that we can avoid in any given way. So we shall be having a deep dive into that discussion. So if you have any questions for us, you would like to know, you'd like us to know where you are listening in from, where you're tuning in from, please find us. You know the drill. You can get us on our socials. We are Power Radio across Instagram. We are also on TikTok. We are also on Twitter. I refuse to call it X as well. We are also on Facebook, as well as our YouTube channel at Power Radio. Please subscribe. If you've not yet subscribed, kindly go out to our YouTube channel, subscribe, hit on that notification bell so that you are the first to know whenever we go live. All right. Now that is out of the way, let me get you knowing about the situation happening on the streets of Nairobi, and start off with, of course, the high and mighty Thika Road, looking very, very busy. I can see that the situation of traffic today starts all the way from... It starts as you go from the Garden City Mall, as you go towards town. Things are bumper to bumper on that route as well. Same situation also happening along Kiambu Road. I can see that traffic starts just a little bit over from the Ridgeways Mall as you go towards DCI, looking busy, bumper to bumper. I can also see that Limuru Road is looking the same, especially as you go from the area around Village Market as you go towards the Karura Forest Gate A on this other side of Limuru Road. Let's see the situation happening on Peponi Road this morning. It's not as dramatic as usually is. It's definitely slow, but moving, so nothing much to complain about on that area as well. Lower Kabete Road is also not looking too bad this morning. The drama usually starts as you go from Zen Garden, but I can see today things are looking okay. So you guys are doing well on that side. Let me see what's happening on the James Gishuru Road, and James Gishuru Road is also not looking too bad actually this morning. It's actually clear. There is only a little bit of a snarl up from the area between the St. Mary's School, as well as the Mzima Spring Road, that intersection there. But other than that, all things looking okay. So be advised, if you can use that route, well and good on your end as well. Let's see what's happening on... where is this? Ngong Road sasa ndio drama iko. The drama starts all the way from it's a spillover, a little bit of a spillover from the southern bypass, and the traffic goes all the way towards the Coptic Hospital, and it also spills a little bit over as you go towards the Valley Road as well. I can also see that Raila Odinga Road is also looking quite busy, especially from the Kenyatta Market area there into the Kenyatta roundabout is looking quite busy. Langata Road is a mayhem. It's a day nightmare. Traffic starts all the way from Uhuru Gardens as you go towards the T Mall roundabout. Same situation also happening along Mombasa Road. The traffic today is actually starting all the way from Imara Daima. My goodness. So the actually not Imara Daima, the Cabanas bus stop all the way Imara Daima, that entire lane, Panari Hotel, down towards the Next Gen Mall, all the way into the Nairobi West Hospital. The madness is happening at Mombasa Road this morning. So if you can avoid that route, kindly do so. Jogoo Road is also looking very busy this morning, especially as you go towards town. And that's just a little bit of what is happening on our roads this morning. In case where you are, and I've not mentioned, is looking quite crazy, in case you see any incident, do let me know. The hashtag to use is hashtag Power Morning Drive. Let me get a little musical break. We come back and we get into what has been making the news roundup. Keep it Power Radio.
Your kind of music, all day, all night, right here on your only station, Power Radio.
Kuna rumba ya Juja, ndani ya maboy, ukisaka mitumba, nenda rumba ya Toy. Kuna rumba ya Kibich, utajua ujui. Kuna rumba for all niggas, ila rumba Japani, rumba. Kuna rumba ya State House, iko chini ya maji. Kuna rumba ya bunge, ya majambazi. Ukileta ujinga, utalala ndani. Kuna rumba for all you niggas, lakini rumba Japani, rumba. Hapa ni wapi? Tumezungukwa na shisha na shashamani. Oh no, pocho na vinywaji mbalimbali. Wengine wanatapika wakizirai. Hapa ni wapi? Wanatutoka mapicha kipaparazi. Tumezungukwa na warembo getikali. Tunazitoka na staili za kizamani.
Kuna rumba ya Westi, ya mabeste, wa mashanane, sheki ya Westi. Rumba ni nyepesi, isikuwe kesi. Kuna rumba for all my niggas, ila rumba Japani ndio rumba.
Kuna rumba Karura, ya kupanda miti. Ukiwa kwenange, hakunanga risiti. Rumba Oyole, hiyo ni ya Mangwati. To all of my hoes and all of my niggas, rumba Japani, no rumba. Hapa ni wapi? Tumezungukwa na mabauza kama chwari. Kuna mapedi, mapoko, pia mapiji. Na wanaseti michele kwenye vinywaji. Hapa ni wapi? Kuna visanga vioja mahakamani. Wapenzi wapigana mate hadharani. Wengine wanatekana nyuma ya taksi.
Niite rumba obunga, mano majo turua, tokida bilombuta, ririyo manyata, ya uyu rwako wakala, toniwa undiso wabunja. Kuna rumba for all you niggas, lakini rumba Japani, yo rumba.
Hapa ni wapi? Mawochi wote wameleta utiaji. Wakafungia wakubwa nje ya pati. Wakaachia ofisi wafanyi kazi.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
Siku mingi jo.
Vini nimekewa madawa siwezi kuacha, kila mali unaenda mimi nakufuata, siogopi kukuambia mimi nakupenda, watu wivu nao zao ni kusema sema. Huyo manza alipiga simu mimi hata simjui, mimi nimekuwa studio tulikuwa naye wapi juzi, hizo ni uongo na unajua mlango wangu iko wazi, ukitaka kurudi nimeifungua. Unasema hapana hapana, huku kilia mimi navumilia, mimi nakazana after yote siamini bado zinaniambia
nakuaga mi kwa heri, nami nakutakia laheri, kukupenda mimi siwezi jamani mpenzi kwa heri. Nakuaga mi kwa heri, nami nakutakia laheri, kukupenda mimi siwezi jamani mpenzi kwa heri.
Nashughulika kila kitu yangirudi fiti, vile ulipotea tu mtano fulani mechizi, silali kusema ukweli sikuli, kejani vana hata skuzi situli, nipige makofi labda naota, manikuache pema nasikia nika nimechoka, kuzitetea palinika mapalisiko, na se tumetupa miaka 6 hivyo. Unasema hapana hapana, huku kilia mimi navumilia, mimi nakazana after yote siamini bado zinaniambia
nakuaga mi kwa heri, nami nakutakia laheri, kukupenda mimi siwezi jamani mpenzi kwa heri. Nakuaga mi kwa heri, nami nakutakia laheri, kukupenda mimi siwezi jamani mpenzi kwa heri.
Hasira nyanieni vana tulia, biashara yetu bado mimi nimeshikilia, na nguvu yangu yote naweza, pesako kuna mali poa nimeiweka, unaweza chuna kadhaa ukitaka, zile zitabaki nunua nazo shamba, lazima tufikie maisha yetu ya mbele, si kila siku kelele.
Tuki wana wewe mambo yako yenda kombo, japo nisonge hapo matatizo yako ma. Nakuaga mi kwa heri, nami nakutakia laheri, kukupenda mimi siwezi jamani mpenzi kwa heri. Nakuaga mi kwa heri, nami nakutakia laheri, kukupenda mimi siwezi jamani mpenzi kwa heri. Nakuaga mi kwa heri, nami nakutakia laheri, kukupenda mimi siwezi jamani mpenzi kwa heri. Nakuaga mi kwa heri, nami nakutakia laheri, kukupenda mimi siwezi jamani mpenzi kwa heri. Tuki wana wewe mambo yako yenda kombo, japo nisonge hapo matatizo yako ma. Nakuaga mi kwa heri, nami nakutakia laheri, kukupenda mimi siwezi jamani mpenzi kwa heri. Nakuaga mi kwa heri, nami nakutakia laheri, kukupenda mimi siwezi jamani mpenzi kwa heri.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
Check vile wale wanabonganga, whatever them say now it don't matter. Jealousy tryna blow us steam, see them eyes them green cause they envy we. Give them a show, pina mugongo, wachokoze, kulia kushoto. Jueni queen unachafua scene, ukidansu na wachanganya. Let's take it slow, turinge kitoko, tusiogope choma photo. Oh no, oh no, hadi washikwe na phone. Because of you, wananilenga wifu because of you, wananilenga wifu because of you, wananilenga wifu because of you. And the things that we do, and the things that we do. Maria, nivulie, sindiria, ninywe maziwa, ndio niweze kutulia. Juu mambo yetu, kuna wengi wanafuatilia. But don't let it get to your head, moto yao tutazima. Baby, you make kama nskata, utanifanya nikulambe mapaja, pole pole juu nikipanda, hadi kukuwe na mvua rasha rasha. Acha waone wivu, wananionyanga wivu because of you. Wananionyanga wivu because of you. Wananionyanga wivu because of you. And the things that we do. 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 It's so fresh on the beat and you know it's a hit again.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
All right, welcome back. You are still with us on the Power Morning Drive Show with me, and Wanyoike. And as usual, let's get into what has been making the news around up. And it's quite a lot. Being Kenyan is knowing that there's always going to be something in the news. And some of it is usually very, very disparaging. And so let me just give you a quick update of what the dailies are looking like this morning. And of course, on the cover page of the Daily Nation, Lagat off the hook. I know. Deputy Inspector General Eliud Lagat is today expected to resume office after investigations cleared him of any wrongdoing over the death of teacher turned blogger Albert Ojwang in police custody. The police chief was forced to step aside following public pressure and youth-led protests. This is a story that is highlighted on page 2 of the Daily Nation. We also have a story here on how Rialta Bank staff and cover-up rocked 1.5 billion equity heist probe. It's a story there on some businesswoman, being suspected there of a 1.5 billion equity heist or probe, if you'd like. And then we also have a story here on Raila and Gachagua, the unlikely kingmakers. They have strong bases but may not run in 2027 is a story that continues on page 5 of the Daily Nation. And lastly, Nakada's new drinking rules. Kenya set to raise drinking age from 18 to 21 years old. All right. On the cover page of the Standard newspaper, the title is, "Oh no, not again." After a day-long standoff between two state security agencies, the police and prisons service over where 24-year-old Julia Karaoke lost her life, the prisons service has admitted she died in their custody, though they claim she arrived already injured. The cold deflection of responsibility, even as a life is lost, echoes the very impunity Kenyans have been protesting against. Now, pressure is mounting on President William Ruto to rein in the growing tension and apparent thirst for blood within the ranks of his security forces. And then we also have a story here on page 4 on page 6 of the Standard newspaper, how police conceal evidence after taking lives of innocents. It's a story there that speaks into the ongoing probe that has happened really, really, truly from the protest that we saw last year, and now coming after that, the aftermath of it, which was the memorial of the Sabasaba protest that we saw last week. But it's quite saddening. Let's get more into this conversation about Lagat being cleared off, and the top two stories are kind of related, really, which is number one. there's an ongoing case of impunity in this country. Like, this is not something that I think we are going to just brush over, because we definitely have institutions that have been set aside to work for the people, right? When we have for example, the Deputy Inspector General going off the hook after a myriad of questions arising from the death of Albert Ojwang, and just because you can afford yourself a good lawyer who can defend you in a court case, does that mean that justice is only for the people who can buy away or buy themselves out of any sort of injustice? So what happens to those that what happens to the ones that are on the other side of the law, right? So the family of Albert Ojwang right now, I mean, the least that we could do is to even have the DIG step down. I mean, that was the pressure that Kenyans were mounting up on him. Not only that, it's just the continuous dismissal of human rights, the continuous disposal of people, in Kenya, where if you're not in any way given at any given time, given place adjacent to power or in power itself, then your case is as good as gone. And so what this speaks to, it's the continuous impunity that we have in the structures that we have put in place. And I don't know what accountability is going to look like from this point going forward. I think Kenyans really need to be angry. If we have to go back to the street and demand for his removal from office, then we have to do it. But again, I understand that, because accountability for this particular case looks like him stepping down, and of course whatever the wanasema mkondo wa sheria lazima uchukue the hand of the law should be taken up. I'm not so sure that replacing, for example, the DIG with somebody else is going to solve the systemic problem that we have in this country. And that, for me, is usually the biggest issue. Yes, we can go out in the streets, we can demand for the stepping aside or stepping down of Lagat as is right now, but will that have solved all our problems as a nation? Would that mean that now we no longer have systemic issues, systemic gaps, for example? Because, the case of Kenya is, and I think I speak on behalf of many Kenyans, this sentiment is that we replace our problems with new faces, so that we continuously have different faces, but the same problems still persist. And why I'm saying this is because impunity, for example, when we set aside an independent policing oversight authority, for example, this IPOA, which I don't even know what IPOA is for, because since it was instituted, it seems that cases of police brutality have continued escalating. And now it's not just about police brutality, even just the low level of police of police enforcers, but it's coming to the highest rank in the land possible. When we have a DIG always in the corridors of courts because of cases of deaths, extrajudicial killings, and when we have, for example, even Kanja, we saw these people have not been in power for more than, I don't even think they've made their 2 years yet we have had so much mention. In other regimes, to be honest, I never knew who even the Inspector General was. We only knew them when they died or when they were being sworn in, and then we moved on. But in this regime, particularly because of the heightened issues of police brutality, and not only that, but the continuous legalized impunity. And I say it's legalized because we have systems to protect people who are wronging the people, who are unconstitutional in all ways. That kind of protection of people that are within the dictates of the powers that be, that is what we need to be addressing as a nation. So it's an absolutely, it's very telling of the kind of political landscape or the setup that we are dealing with as a people, and I honestly do not know what is going to come out of this. We just hope that very drastic measures are going to be taken up. If we have to disband the IPOA and set up a completely independent, sort of oversight authority. And by the way, I have seen it working in, I forget which country, but I remember reading that there is a country that disbanded their policing oversight authority, and it's the people, like it's people-led. So it's people who actually get to keep the police force in check. I forget the country, but I will remember at some given point, and we can bring it up at some given point. So if at all IPOA is not working for us, the Kenyan people, because the Constitution of Kenya already gives us the total sovereignty. We the people, I do think and I do foresee a potential situation where we set up a committee where it's really just ordinary Kenyans, people that I work with, and just not in any way affiliated to, I don't know, a CSO or an NGO, just common mwananchi, because at the end of the day, Albert Ojwang died in the hands of the police. Albert Ojwang was a kawaida mwananchi. It is their family that is going to pay the brunt of the pain and the grief. And so if Kenyans can be the ones to take up, I honestly, if I was given an opportunity to speak to the commander-in-chief, I would say that we need to absolutely scrape off the IPOA and resolve to replacing it with the Kenyan people, because the long-going tussle between Kenyan police and the Kenyan people is the thing. That's where the problem is. That's where the biggest problem has always been. And so who else to keep accountable and hold the Kenyan police force accountable if not the Kenyan people, because they are the ones that are completely obliterating us and killing us every now and then. We cannot be affording to have these conversations all this time. So yes, he might be off the hook, but justice must prevail. And I do not know what justice will look like, because now there's a dead person already involved, and many people actually. Just last week we saw over 60 deaths, and those are the ones, 31 deaths, and those are the ones that have been reported. Who knows what has happened to the ones that have not been reported, and what does that accounting for lives, and it's the completely blatant disregard for human life as well. So what are we really saying? What does democracy look like? Is it really progressive if every now and then we are always talking about people have been killed, and the ones that are the impunity rates in this country are on an all-time high? So it's quite something to be disturbed about, right? But moving quite along, the Northern Eastern UDA MPs had something to say over the weekend about possibly being supporters of Ruto, and one woman, Fatuma Abdi Jeho, the woman representative of Wajir, had some very, very, very problematic public remarks made there in a statement. Let's listen in and we come back and discuss.
Handed over to you, President Ruto, a peaceful and a stable nation. You must implement the oath you took in Kasarani.
And speaking on behalf of all governors of Kenya as chair of council, you have my support, you have my assurance that we will work with you to ensure that SHA succeeds for the benefit of the average Kenyan.
Sisi maneno yetu ni mafupi tu. Tunasema tu 2 term. Ama kuna maneno ingine? 2 term. Sio? Si tunangojea tu debe iletwe, hata kama hatutakuwa na votes tutamuibia. Hiyo si siri.
hata kama hatutakuwa na votes tutamuibia, hiyo si siri. That is Fatuma Abdi Jeho, the woman representative of Wajir. Before that was speaking Ahmed Abdullahi, governor of Wajir County, and Aden Duale, the health cabinet secretary there. And mostly I want to talk on what woman rep Fatuma had to say, that hata kama hatutakuwa na kura tutamuibia. That's a very, very problematic sentiment to speak on, especially knowing the state of the country and where we are at right now. It's quite problematic, as a leader, as a political leader who, you get to have public opinion and you get to shape the public opinion of what Kenyans are thinking. Or else, not necessarily what Kenyans are thinking, but when you hold quite an important position as a woman representative, whatever you say in a public forum is a very, very, very serious matter. It's very grave to even think that this is something that was aired on national television. And, again, it's constantly having to deal with the bad manners of our political class. Just last week we were seeing the many times that sexualization of women in the political arena was happening. Of course, Farouk being one of the notable faces of that, unfortunately. And so it's so, for one, what I'm saying is that how we spew public narratives is a very wrong thing. And if you think that, of course, you're playing politics. At the end of the day, you are in the UDA camp. Of course, this is something that you should be saying. It's something that, not you should be saying, it's something that you will be saying because you have to play along with the game. It's all a political game at that. But saying things like, hata kama tutakuwa na kura tutaiba tu, si tunajua hakuna siri. I think that now is kind of border, it's crossing a boundary there. You're speaking more inconsistencies, within the law and the rule of law and the democracy that we are so much fighting towards progressing and propelling to the next level. And by the way, to which IEB said that IEBC, now that we have an IEBC, which that's a whole conversation to have on its own, they retaliated and pushed out statements saying that no, they do not agree with that, and that Fatuma's words should not be taken. They should be taken with a pinch of salt. Basically, that's what the statement was alluding to. And so yes, so it's absolutely wrong. It's very embarrassing that these are the kind of leaders that we have in this nation, where there is an absolute carelessness of whatever public narrative is put out there. But also, I know that you think that way already privately, but we don't need to know about what you think publicly, especially when it might plunge this nation to another sort of political disarray. Right now, Kenyans are just not going to have it, We're just not going to have it. There's so much that is happening within the political landscape. It's not business as usual for Kenyans. It's not business as usual for Kenyans. And so I think we need to start being a little bit more serious with our political leaders and what are they allowed to say publicly and what is not allowed to be said publicly. And again, I understand, I get it. Yes, you are part of the UDA, saying two-term nini, that's it's on you. Even constitutionally, you are protected and you are entitled to your own opinion. But your own opinion ceases to be your own opinion when you come and use it on a public political rally where you know that Kenyans are going to be there, and you're issuing sentiments and statements that are very carelessly put, for lack of a better word, saying things like tutaiba tu. Ni sawa mutaiba, but that's not the kind of narrative that we are trying to at least build this nation on. There's so much to be said about that, but I will be looking for an expert to talk to us about public narratives, shaping driving political conversations in this country. And why it matters because we are the stories that we tell ourselves, right? And it's a good place for me to end our news scoop for today. Let me go on a short musical break. We come back. Mr. Tevin Kote is the communications lead at Badili Africa, and we are going to get in depth into what exactly does Badili Africa do, what they are all about. But most importantly, I'm very curious to hear, because they have this approach of grassroots movements driving socioeconomic change. So what does that look like? And how can more and more people plug into the grassroots movement so that we can build this country from where it hurts the most? So let's take a quick breather. If you have any questions for him, kindly at us. That is Power Radio across all socials. At me as well on Twitter at @Wanyoike or Instagram Wanjiko Wanyoike. You can DM me, I guess. Yes, and then we can get into that conversation. See you in a bit.
Your kind of music, all day, all night, right here on your only station, Power Radio.
Unfala mgani kama mngari kwa list juu ya Ferrari, yeah. Ana degree au ni journalist tu journalist. Nasikia wakiuliza ule boy wetu alienda wapi, amepotea kazi ile mbegu watu walipanda na kanyari, yeah. Na nasikia inasemekana hati rap zangu kamna mkazo na ile utamia rege mama. Maudinari wananikubali na hatu hati hawezekana. Kwa wale upenda sauti yangu na iko wale usengenyana. Mama kijana wako amepotea, ni masikio tu yeye anatoboa huku ndugu zake wakiendelea. Mwenyezi pekee anaweza muokoa, kimaisha amelegea, ingawa hatuoni akitoboa, bado twazidi kumwombea. Amina. So nangi hata ya ofisi, sina njana jua mpishi. Sijaifanya kazi ya ofisi, sijailala kasi jadishi. Sijarap kitu katoka 6 hivi. Trust me, siezi rasmi mi hata niache mziki miaka 50. Nikirudi bado na crash nyinyi niko fast me. Ndani ya party na nguo rasmi, tumepigwa pasi hapo katikati. Napiga mic check tu niko party na niko night shift. Niko busy sikuwa najificha. Clearly you rappers missed your teacher. Vitu mnaandika zinachoma picha. Nkiwisingi hata kuwafundisha sauti nasikiani. Don't waste your time wishing you're too proud, my baby. Too proud to wish they had an easy way out. Let times get tough so they remember you're a blessing. When life is good, they won't forget to say, ooh, 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 ooh. Yeah. Hey, yeah. Naulizwa mbona niliacha mziki, ati nilikuwa mkali juu ya mic na namisiwa na mashabiki. Niliacha game mapema hata kabla refa hajapiga firimbi. Bila kwa heri ati walistukia tu kuna klepto moja imbi. Samahani, nimepotea, shukrani kwa wale wamenifikiria. Hizo miaka zote nimekuwa missing, lakini kwa kitu hamjaniambia. Kani ningebaki bado ungekuwa nataki ya kusikia nikiwaimbia. Ama by saa ingekuwa mnanifanya vile mnafanya mapioneer. Story kwa media ati nimechapa, niko juu ya madawa na hangaika. Shoni mali mbada, hebu kama ukatendraise ya mnaita. It's not that serious, rap ni hobby. Bila mziki bado na mange, ingekuwa career singekuwa nalia kusikia tinaija Nairobi. Ambia ni ukama, sijifeel sana. We ni mgeni, sikia kwanza, tunakupenda. Ukikakata choka na wewe, hivyo ndo kuenda. Mimi ule mgeni alikaa siku 2 tu. Sikukaa siku mingi nikuachie nafasi ya kuchoka na mimi. So now you know. Shinsky. So now you know. Beat ya kega. So now you know. Hey. Hey. Ooh.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
Mbembe ni tembe mimi si pendi njina
sweetie cake, my chocolate, one and only. Cheki vile umemeki kinjana spendi mali yake. Nitakupenda daily makienyeji usinjale. Keti nami tupange wedding na tumbeki babies. Take me kwa mkono tundansi wanjueni we. Wanjueni we. Wanjueni we. Wanjueni we. Wanjueni we. Wanjueni we. Anjueni we, anjueni we, anjueni we, anjueni we.
Okwela joma sandi go kolgeni bunde poka duoko kanisi mama yo. Muda unasonga ila roho yangu wewe bado nazoza. Vitu tumeona mina we haziwezi pimika. Oh mama samilima Kimanungu nitimo na ukanyalo pime mbeleji Usikuchunya yoyo. Sema tuende kwa neno lako mimi mabusu. Sema tuende. Chagua jiji tutafika mina we. Zanzibari kwenye maji wa bahari, tule wali wa mnazi tunywe sarubati. Oh mama mama yo, yara kamba wange dongo chino mega wajueni we. Wajueni we. Wajueni we. Wajueni we. Wajueni we.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
Alrighty, aloha. Welcome back to the Power Morning Drive Show. My name is Wanyoike, and as promised, we are joined today now in studio with or by Mr. Tevin Kote. He's a communications lead at Badili Africa, but he also wears other hats, like he's a digital activist and all those things, and he's gonna be telling us in a few the many hats that he not physically, but the many hats that he does wear occasionally. And we are going to be engaging him on a little bit of the work that they do at Badili Africa, but also beyond that, how are grassroots movements driving the social economic change in the society. So that's a discussion for today. So if you have any questions, please you can find us on our social media handles. That is Power Radio across all socials. If you have any questions for Mr. Tevin as well, please, I'm sure that he's more than capable to answer any questions that you might have for him. It's so good to see you, sir. Good morning. Karibu Power Radio.
Thank you very much.
You're well?
Good morning to you too.
I'm very well as well. It's just very cold.
Yeah, it's very chilly.
Yeah, it's very chill, but we move regardless.
Yeah,
the
definitely.
show must go on.
Definitely.
Karibu sana Power Radio.
Thank you for having me.
All right, so for the one or two people that might not know who Tevin Kote is, kindly introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about the many hats that you wear.
All right.
Yeah.
My name is Tevin Kote.
Yes.
I am the communications lead at Badili Africa. Aside from that, I am a podcaster. I'm
Power.
a host, and also I host the the podcast known as Most Wanted KE, alongside 2 other individuals.
Okay.
Also, I am, as you've said, I'm a digital activist.
Yeah.
I try and see how do I even harness the power of storytelling and strategic communication when it comes to contributing to the conversation in the country. I don't want to brag a lot, so
Please brag away.
I am also I work closely also with influencers. I know the power that influencers have when it comes to shaping narratives. So I am very interested in matters youth because I mean I'm a youth, and also when you talk about the SDG 5, you know, women empowerment and inclusion in the equality. So that is part of the things that I do.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Oh, there's so many things to bounce back off from that. So, but I know we will get right into it later on. But to just kind of form the basis of our discussion this morning, for people maybe who might be watching and they do not know who Badili Africa is and what you guys are all about, kindly tell us just a little bit about Badili Africa and the work that you're doing at the grassroots level.
Amazing.
Yeah.
So Badili Africa, we are a Pan-African women rights organization. You know, as when I say Pan-African, it's Badili Africa.
Yeah.
Our work is about changing what the African setup.
Right.
So our work, our mission is usually to try and see how do we redefine our political engagement in Africa, not just Kenya but also Africa at large.
Yeah.
And so how do we do this? We do this by harnessing and strengthening the capacity of the organizing power of grassroots women, as we talk about grassroots initiatives of grassroots women, as well as young women in the institutions of higher learning and also urban informal settlements. We try and see how do we empower them to be able to ensure that their voice are heard in the decision-making spaces, as well as policy work, as well as try and see how do they engage themselves in the dismantling of barriers such as gender-based violence and discriminations against human rights.
Right.
So majorly we work with 2 groups. For us, we try and make sure that we distinct the group. So we work with the young women in the institution of higher learning, as well as urban informal settlements, and we work with the women, grassroots women organized in chamas. I'm sure if not us, our moms are part of a chama. So when I talk about chama, for those people who don't understand chamas, as usually the self-help groups within the communities. You see those table banking, you know. But then as we see, how do we ensure that it does not involve just about matters money? Because if the decisions were made right by the politician, my mom will not be in a chama to try and get money for school fees. You know, if there was a good education system, if there was a good health system in the country, my mom will not be in another chama to try and see how do I get money to be able to take my child to the hospital if they're able to, if for some reason they're sick. So it's trying to see also how do we strengthen and harness that organizing power of the grassroots women to be able to know the power that you have also, because these women are usually the same women who politicians approach when it comes to elections.
That's right.
To gather votes for them. So it's trying to see the power that you have to elect these leaders, the same power that you have to be able to hold them to account to what they say they're going to be doing. So it's trying to do that also. One of the things that we also do is dismantling of barriers that prevent women to participate in the decision-making spaces, as well as inclusion in the leadership spaces. And this is the gender-based violence. And it starts all the way from the institutions of higher learning. You know, there's a lot of gender-based violence that happens there, sexual harassment that prevent young women from taking up spaces also or occupying leadership spaces. So it's trying to see.
I mean, have you seen what, for example, Farouk was doing the other day? You know, sexualizing and objectifying political women leaders. And people are actually cheering on.
Yes, and that's
including the women.
Yes.
Including the women themselves.
And most of the time we find is that people don't recognize such things. And for us, even as an organization, is trying to see how do we teach them about matters human rights so that they know when violations are taking place.
Right.
Because some of them,
there's a very thin line.
yes,
right.
they don't understand maybe this whatever Farouk was saying, that's violation, that's sexual harassment.
Yes.
So them to be able to identify such issues and to be able to work against that, as well as also our mission, and this is the why Badili really exists,
right?
Because we want to contribute to an equitable society where our young women and grassroots women are able to enjoy social, political and economic rights.
It would be very interesting to hear you as a man working in a space where it's advancing the progression of women's issues. What I mean, how come? is it interesting to you? Do people take you seriously, for example?
Definitely.
How is that experience?
For me, it has been an amazing experience to just see, because one thing I know, we cannot work as silos. And I am a male ally. I term myself a male ally. And at Badili Africa, we don't work just with women because we bring on board also the male allyship. Because for us to be able to achieve what we want to achieve in regards to even gender equality, we need the men on board to be able also to change the stereotypical thinking around women in leadership. So for me, I think I'm an ambassador when it comes to men. To be able to know, I've been able to understand, the importance of having women in the leadership spaces. Because as a man, I don't understand what women want. I can't tell what women want. It's the only women who can tell us what women want. So it's very important to be able to have them to be participating in the decision-making processes, as well as being in the leadership spaces again. When you talk about leadership spaces, we're not talking about those seats that have been set aside for them. When you talk about the country, we have the women rep. We're not talking about just that. We're talking about even the topmost seats. When you talk about even the universities, we have those seats that are being set aside for specifically women, such as in the university that we work in, we have seen them setting aside seats such as accommodation secretary. But then how do we ensure also they are part of the presidency? They can be able to occupy the seat of the president in the universities. Because if a man is the president in the university, how can he put something like the access to sanitary health as a priority? That will not be able to happen. So for me, it has been an interesting journey and an unregrettable journey for that. And I've been able to bring also my friends to understand, we need women in leadership. We need them to participate. We need to work all together to be able to have an equitable society. Yes.
So you said that you're working towards dismantling barriers that oftentimes exclude women from decision-making processes. What are some of these barriers that have been prevalent in your work at Badili?
So part of the barriers that we have been seeing, and one of the biggest barriers is, I'll talk about even the aspect of gender-based violence.
All right.
So gender-based violence has, over time, and we have actually noticed even as an organization, has really made women to shy away from leadership spaces. So when you talk about, I'll give you an example, even start even in the institutions of higher learning. There's a time we're looking at the sexual harassment policies in the universities. And we figured out that in most universities, the last time that they were able to even review the sexual harassment policies was 5 years ago. So these are policies that are there, but then are not up to date with the current trends when you talk about gender-based violence, such as technologically facilitated gender-based violence.
Right.
And also, we actually realized there's people even can go...
what is technologically facilitated violence for somebody who might not know?
Technologically facilitated gender-based violence are those violences that are facilitated through technology, such as social media, such as using the phone.
Right.
I'll give you an example, such as cyberbullying,
right.
doxing. There are very many of them. And one thing, there's a research that we did, also a documentary that we did. It's called The Silenced Young Woman, that talks about how sexual harassment and gender-based violence had been able to silence the voice of women. When you talk about campaigning, and this, you'll be surprised, even in the universities, it happens, not just the national politics, where women are doing campaigns and there's groping, there's sexualizing of women. People don't see women as leaders, but then when it comes to a woman, you just look at the body, you're sexualizing everything. But when it comes to leadership, it's about the brain. It's about what someone can be able to deliver.
The
It doesn't
value,
matter exactly. It doesn't matter your shape of the body or anything. So that documentary, and I would even urge people to just go on our YouTube page and look at it.
Okay.
Talks about how women have been silenced over time, all the way from the university spaces.
What's it called?
The Silenced Young Woman.
The Silenced Young Woman.
Yes. So it's trying to see also gender-based violence. Even I'll talk about even another documentary that we did is called the Women Kingmakers. It talks about the violence that is perpetrated against women political mobilizers. These are not even women who are running for leadership, but the women who are mobilizing for votes for politicians.
Right.
And some of the things that we were shooting the documentaries, some of the stories that I was able to listen to were very heartbreaking. So it's trying to see, for us as Badili Africa, try to see these barriers. How do we address them? But not also address them our own, but also build the capacity of these women to be able to identify these particular barriers and to be able to work against them, to be able to be advocates against them, because we are giving them power. It's not about them being the beneficiaries, but also them participating into this particular conversation. Another barriers that we have seen is even the stereotypical thinking. A lot of we're still far from achieving the gender the gender role in Kenya, the two-third gender role, and it's because of also when you ask me how am I a man and working in the women's space, is I was able to shift that stereotypical thinking of, you know what, it's only men who can occupy leadership. And we have seen in the countries where even women are occupying top leadership, how they have changed, how they have had better policies. And is to see how do we even bring men on board into this conversation so that they can also realize the power of having women involved in the conversation. A woman is not just supposed to be in the kitchen. You know how the African, the African narrative of your work is in the kitchen. Your place is in the kitchen. You're supposed to take care of your husband, but also how to see how do they engage. You remember that those back in the day, especially in the traditional times, even when there's important meetings at home, the mother is in the kitchen cooking, but then decisions are made in the table where men are just there.
Right.
But also to see how do we change that stereotypical thinking among men and among boys, right from the universities. When you talk about grassroots level, it's not just in the urban informal settlements, but also in the university at a tender age of people who are at 18 to 23.
Right.
Then being able to understand from that early age that, you know what, we can have a woman as a president. We can have a woman in the topmost seat, and she is capable enough to make decision even better than even men.
That's
so
right.
Those are the barriers that we're able to see, and even the cultural barriers. Other traditions don't believe women are supposed to occupy space. Look at Kajiado County. I don't think there's any woman who was elected apart from the woman rep. So how do we ensure also in locations such as those, we're able to change or shift the cultural belief that have been there over time, that have always silenced the voice of women.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So and now shifting gears to some of what I hear you say, and even as I was researching Badili ahead of this interview, I saw that a lot of your work is really centering the grassroots movements, in ensuring that in whatever capacity you are centering grassroots movements in social, political and economic change and of course development. So I want you to talk to us a little about why is it so effective and important to center grassroots movement, particularly because, as you've said, there's always exclusion, there's always a marginalization from the grassroots. We live in a country where we always like talking about bottom up approaches, but it kind of does not quite translate. Yeah. So why is it so important for us to center the grassroots movements?
For Badili, we talk about even as an organization beyond the margins, beyond the margin of democracy. Funny thing, for politicians, when they are advocating for power, for votes, they go to those grassroots. They go to the boda chairman. They go to the mama mboga.
Chairman.
Yes, they are the ones who mobilize. They have understood the power of grassroots movement.
Right.
They have understood the power of grassroots mobilizing. And that's why they go to the community. You'll see if the president wants to mobilize power, it's rarely even back in the day, if you have seen our political or our campaign strategies, they usually go to mashinani to try and see how do you mobilize from the grassroots up. When Mr. President was coming in power in 2022, his work was bottom up because he realized everything is, the power is at the bottom, you know, trying to convince the local border person about why he should be in power and how it is going to do for them is what he did. So for us also, we have recognized that the grassroots level and being able to mobilize in terms of grassroots is very important. And for us, we use most unconventional spaces when it comes to grassroots mobilizing. And one of the methods we do, especially in the communities, we look at when you talk about the chamas, chamas have a very big power in terms of mobilization. And we center them because a lot of organizations, maybe, they usually make decisions and then they take it to the communities. For us, we do the vice versa because we need to listen to what is the problems that are there in the communities so that we're able to solve them and we're able to program it based on the needs of the communities. So we work closely with, we use spaces such as saloons. So cool. To have, to just have civic engagement. You know, like for you. You've spent a lot of time in a saloon, maybe 3 hours.
A lot of time.
Yes, but then how do you ensure that you have been able to train the saloonist who is plaiting your hair to be able to disseminate civic educations to you, to be able to know, because those are the people. It's a familiar space to a lot of communities. You know, the barber shop. My barber right now, even we moved from talking about football from time to time. Now we're talking about even the politics.
Right.
So them being able to have a conversation in a familiar space, you know, saloons, the chair, when the women are going to the chamas, what kind of conversation are they having after they have done the table banking and the whatever the activities of the day? How do they shift also gears to having conversation about civic matters? Because we cannot reach everyone in the communities, but then having specific people who have a certain influence within the communities enables us to have ownership, people having ownership and engaging in a familiar space. Because if your local saloonist is talking about how the governor is not working in the Nairobi. Even you, even if you did not have interest in the political conversation, you find yourself over time starting to have interest in this conversation. And that's how we are able to just have even the mobilizing aspect of it. People taking ownership. When we go to the communities, already people have started engaging with this conversation and they are able to just come willingly and get educated about these things. Also, for us, even in the university spaces, the aspect of grassroots is we have a very unique approach in comes to university spaces. That is the political spas. I don't know if you have ever heard of the political spa.
No, I haven't. So tell us about it.
For the political spa, it's a very unique approach where we merge beauty and civic discourse. So
that's interesting.
When you go to the university and you bring a conversation around matters civic engagement, it's very easy to have students who are in the political education, people who are in the gender studies coming on board. But then how do you ensure also people who are doing engineering are part of this conversation? How do you ensure people who are doing tourism are part of this conversation? So for us, we came up with a signature model, a very innovative model called the political spa. Where through makeup artists also are our civic educators, we are able to attract the usually people who are left in these conversations, the young women who are left in this conversation. It's a very feminine space to be able to, you can be able to have civic conversation while being applied makeup.
All right.
So that's how we do it in the university. And we have seen a lot of women coming on board. And one of the tangible things is just to see also people who are doing very complex courses, even taking part in leadership spaces, even running for leadership spaces within the universities,
including that too.
Yes.
Wow,
so it's really effective because it's also a situation where it's familiar to them. You know, beauty, and being able to tell them, you know what, even if when the reason why you use beauty is because politics affects everything. Even the makeup that you wear, politics affects it.
Right.
You know, at the first time I was starting to shave, I think I was starting to shave with 10 shillings. Right now I shave with around 250 shillings. You know, that is because of politics. You know, politics has affected that. So being able to show them how politics affect them and using a signature thing that is they're able to feel confident also because of, you know, applying makeup, you're beautiful, but they're still having that conversation. But it's not us having conversation with them, it's trying to see how do we even train the makeup artists to be able to be the initiators of the conversation. Something that is adventurous, something that is
very out of
calm.
the box as well.
Yes.
I love that. So the political spars, is it that do they happen spontaneously or?
Yeah, they happen really spontaneously because even we don't do them in the room. We do them in the fields, in the gardens to just see how do we even the makeup artists themselves take up this ownership of the conversation. Even within the universities, because the makeup artists that we work with are not just people who have already finished campus, but also makeup artists within the universities. There are very many talented young women who do makeup. So also them being able to understand how do you run a civic engagement session using the art of makeup.
Right. Well, that's very cool. Right. Okay. So I wonder how has your work as a digital activist spoken into the work also that you do? Because I feel like it's sort of the same. And even the recent happenings of the country, I mean, we're talking about abductions, extrajudicial killings, continuous impunity. I mean, we've just seen that Lagat is not yet, or he's been let off the hook. So it's quite hard to ignore the circumstances that we find ourselves in. And so I wonder, are you bringing all of this experience into the work that you do at the grassroots level as well?
Definitely, because as I started, I said I work closely also with digital media influencers.
Yeah.
So my aspect of digital activism might not be even on the front line, but also trying to see how do I ensure that the influencers are able to understand the power that they wield as individuals. And we work with very unique influencers. For us, we don't work with the signature influencers, but we work with those influencers, especially from the institution of higher learning and also community influencers below the age of 25 years. So these are people who have the power, they have the numbers, but then are yet to identify or recognize the power that they have to be able to shift narrative, to be able to influence change within their spaces.
What criteria do you use to identify the influencers?
So for us, influencing is, we have seen, when it got, for example, in a university space, the people who have even 1,000 followers. But then they have a certain influence within that particular space. When you look at, when you just talk with students in the university and ask them who influences, they will be able to tell you that, and you'll be surprised that this person doesn't even have 20,000 followers.
Wow.
They have probably 1,000 followers. But the influence they're able to wield within that space, it's something that is really important. So we are able to just come and tell them, you know what, this particular influence that you have, probably you're talking about football. You know, one of our top influencers have 400,000 followers on X. But when you found him, he was only about football. But right now, he's someone who is really into it when it comes to accountability and holding leaders into account. So it's trying to see how do you ensure that they're able to recognize the power that they have and the responsibility that has been wielded upon them with the influence that they have within the space to be able to advance different conversation in regards to leadership, in regards to holding leaders accountable. Even when we talk about gender equality, our work to contributing to gender equality is try to see how do we also use this or rather collaborate with these influencers to be able to advance the conversation about the importance of having women in leadership spaces. And we have seen notable results because for the first time even since the inception of Jomo Kenyatta University of Agriculture and Technology, there was a woman who ran for presidency for the first time ever. And this is because of the power of also trying to see how do even influencers collaborate with these young women to be able to shape narrative, to be able to package themselves in a way that is sellable also in the campaigns.
Right. Wow. That's very, very incredible. Now, you did mention about it's about the community taking ownership of whatever is happening politically, socially, economically. I'm interested to know, so after maybe, for example, they've come to the political spa, you've engaged in this, not only civic education, but also political education. What are the steps that you take to ensure that the conversation is sustained? Because it's one thing to engage in a public forum, maybe a public participation forum, but you want it to go beyond the engagement between you and Badili Africa, or Badili Africa and the community. So how do you rework around sustaining the conversation? Because can we afford not to sustain the conversation? I don't think that boat already sailed a long time ago. Because of the heightened political climate we are currently living in. So
I remember even when we started, I talked about even the aspect of strategic people that we bring on board in this conversation. So when you talk about Chama, we talk about Chama women leads.
Okay.
So you'd be surprised that a Chama woman might be in at least 3-4 groups, Chama groups. In one group, there are around 20 women. So you can imagine the amount of the number of women she is able to reach with that particular numbers. So also, for us to be able to sustain the conversation, we try and make sure that these people are not just beneficiaries, but are part of the conversation.
Yes.
At Badili, we call them, charging them to be part of the conversation and to be part of to be advocates.
Yes.
So for us to be able to sustain this conversation, we ensure that whatever we are teaching them, it's something that is tailor-made to their understanding, for them to be able to disseminate to different communities that they're able to face. Such as, and what we have seen also in different communities, such as the work we are doing in Kangemi. We have seen how Chama have been able to have activations. We call activations.
Right.
So these are grassroots organizing within the communities where the women who have been able to be our participants, or have been directly impacted with the civic education that we have been giving to them, are able to disseminate it to different communities. They have sessions within their communities, and then they welcome us. They told us, so for us, we are just there as flyers on the wall for them to just see how do they disseminate this conversation even downstream. When you talk about even in convention spaces such as salons, when you teach a salonist how to be a civic educator, when you empower them to be able to understand human rights, to be able to understand the constitution, they are able to have this conversation with their clients. They don't have to go outside their space. They are able to have them while they are in their space. So it's to see how do we, for us, sustainability is empowering these particular women to be able to be trainers also within their communities, to disseminate information within their natural setup without taking them outside their comfort zone. When you talk about even activism, the social media influencers, when you talk about even the spoken word artists, how do they use the power of activism also to continue this conversation even in the online spaces? Because we have trained a lot of influencers. Right now, we are not even collaborating with them, but we are seeing them just disseminating whatever we have been able to teach them throughout their social media, just monitoring and seeing, okay, we found this one like this. Right now, he is very active, or he is very active in a particular conversation. So it's to try to see how do we also, even the aspect of knowledge products, tailor making knowledge products that they are able to use within the communities to be able to disseminate different conversation and to ensure that sustainability is ensured within the communities.
Awesome. Okay, you have brought up something very close to our heart here at Pawa, which is activism. So we will take a quick break. We come back and we touch on that activism. How can people really, really reel into the harnessing the power of activism to bring about the change that we want to see. We are still here with Mr. Tevin Kote, and we are discussing all things grassroots movements beyond the margins, grassroots movements in driving socio-economic change. And if you have any questions for us, please do not hesitate to at us at on our social media. That is Power Radio across all socials. And we will get into that conversation soon after this commercial break. Do not move a muscle. We'll be right back before you take your next breath.
Your kind of music, all day, all night, right here on your only station, Power Radio.
Oh baby, tell me. Each and every day mawazo yake kwenye mind hayanitoki na sichoki. The kind of love that you only dream of to live through eternity.
Penzi, nakuwaza mimi every time when you're not next to me. Na ukiwa nami when you're holding me tight, mwili wangu haustop to shiver.
Thinking about the way I would be missing out on all the tender loving and care without you, my dear.
I cannot fathom or entertain the idea of not having you here. I'd shed a tear.
Baby, you're the only one for me. Unitoki kwa mawazo, ni wewe unafaa kuwa nami. Exclusive for you, it's exclusive. Surely you're the only one for me. Chaguo langu toka mwanzo, na nimezama kwako. Exclusive for you, it's exclusive. Reminiscing about the loving that we made, truly intimate. Cupid have to navigate, loving from a lion, true emotion never late. Nikupe penzi moto kama kuon maliet.
Nami napenda unavutia effort so effortlessly. You drive me crazy when you roar. Tender loving kissing kwenye mwili with my head on my feet. I miss you, my baby.
Thinking about the way I would be missing out on all the tender loving and care without you, my dear.
I cannot fathom or entertain the idea of not having you here. I'd shed a tear. Ooh, baby, you're the only one for me. Unitoki kwa mawazo, ni wewe unafaa kuwa nami. Exclusively, it's exclusive. Surely you're the only one for me. Chaguo langu toka mwanzo, na nimezama kwako. Exclusively, it's exclusive.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
That is Wanyoike, the love child. He's playing right here on Power Radio. We are still here on the Power Morning Drive Show with me and Wanyoike, and I'm still here with Mr. Tevin Kote. He is a communications specialist and also lead at Badili Africa, and also digital activist and other cool things, other many cool things as well. So let us talk a little bit now about, the Pan-Africanism that you mentioned, that at Badili Africa, you are a Pan-African movement, a Pan-African organization that sets its precedence on Pan-Africanism and the philosophies of Pan-Africanism. So from where we stand, from where we sit, first of all, why is it important for us to still have philosophies that sort of create synergy points for us to engage, not only politically, but also socially, and also economically, but also beyond that, because Pan-Africanism is also its own philosophy. And I know that because people and culture and times do bring about new nuances to whatever the movements are. The Pan-Africanism maybe of Marcus Garvey, of Kwame Nkrumah, of Patrick Lumumba might not be the same one that you guys are talking about. So yeah, what are your thoughts on that? The importance of having developed our own public philosophy, but also that builds on the Pan-Africanism philosophy as it stands.
So even when you talk about Pan-Africanism, I think I'll take you back even to the beginning of the year. And it's something that it was something that was really interesting to be able to see even as an individual. I remember earlier this year, we had the opportunity of screening our docu-film, The Woman Kingmaker, in Johannesburg. And it was an audience of over 1,000 women across the 56 or the 55 countries in Africa. Everyone was represented. And the very interesting thing that I realized is we do not have unique challenges as Africans. Our challenges are the same. The challenges that women are facing in Morocco, challenges that women are facing in Sierra Leone, challenges that women are facing in Namibia. And what we are facing even here in Kenya is they're outside. They're all the same. So when we talk about even Pan-Africanism, it's just realizing that as African, how do we ensure that we are able to target or we are able to solve our problem even as Africanism, using the philosophy of Africanism.
Yes.
And also something that really came out is the aspect of, and something that is very key to us even as an organization, is the aspect of Utu. Utu and Ubuntu. When it comes to even leadership, how do we envision envision the aspect of Utu when it comes to leadership? The humanity aspect of it. And over time, I know things are changing from the time when Kwame Nkrumah was there to now. Things are evolving, but also as they are evolving, how are we able to learn from the lessons of Pan-Africanism back in the day to what we are having right now? Because change is inevitable,
right?
And even as we are doing it in the African, when we are fighting for Pan-Africanism, how do we not shift the Western world, but also gear our solution or tailor-make our solution based on our Africanism as African people, because we are having very unique challenges from the Western. So is to see from the challenges we have been able to face as a people, and the lessons learned from the time of Akina Sankara, Akina Kwame Nkrumah, how do we shift them based on the current times, but not really move away from them, because we cannot move away from our Pan-Africanism.
Not completely.
Not completely. So it's to see how do we adapt them to the changing times, to the changing generations. Because I remember when we were having the Twitter space the other time, we said the problems are changing, but then also our leadership is not changing with time. So it's also to see with the philosophies, how do we improve them with time, tailor-made to the generation and the challenges that we're facing currently.
Wow.
Yes.
And I think that also speaks into intergenerational dialogue, which I think, it's quite a buzzword. Just the other day, Raila Odinga came on and said that, young people, we need to start fostering intergenerational dialogue. And to which, a lot of people had a lot to say about this. But, again, it speaks to the need for us to actually really quite invest in, and not in a cosmetic way, but in a very meaningful way, where yes, everybody is brought to the table. We are fostering and creating spaces for intergenerational dialogue, but beyond even just speaking, because for the longest time, when I look at any intergenerational anything, young people are usually there as token. So it's very tokenistic in a way, because we do not get to see the voices of young people heard and also implemented, like whatever they have to say implemented. So as we navigate this idea of intergenerational dialogue, what are the hits, what are the misses, and what do we need to do to build a sustainable framework for intergenerational dialogue that is meaningful beyond tokenism?
I think it's the intentionality behind it. And the reason why people were there was a lot of backlash to what Raila was saying is because, as you're saying, it's very tokenistic.
Yes.
Is for the camera, we had old people and the young people, we had a conversation, but then what happened after that conversation? Did the voices of the young people were they, leave alone even being heard, were they implemented? Is to see, so for us to be able to have a very successful intergenerational dialogue is being intentional towards why are we going there? Because when Raila was saying we have an intergenerational dialogue, he was not clear of why. So why are we doing that?
Yeah.
You know, what is going to happen? What are the changes that we're going to envision when we are having this conversation? And for us is to see also, as an organization, we have really invested when it comes to intergenerational conversations, is to see how do we, because challenges, they don't like shift, they just evolve.
Right. Yes.
The challenges that people faced in the 1969 is the same challenges we are facing, but just in an amplified manner.
Yeah.
So it's to see what are people, what were they facing back in the 69 that we are facing now? How did they approach that we can be able to see even as a young people to improve or to strategize better based on also what they do that failed, that we can be able to do and succeed. So the importance of intergeneration is because we cannot work as silos if we want to see change. We have to learn from different generations because even them, the people who are older, they were young once.
Yes.
When you talk about the Mau Mau, the Mau Mau were young people when they were fighting.
That's
they
right.
Were very in 18, 20, 19. So what did they do best that were able to see us getting independence, and what can we learn from them, or what mistake can we learn from them to be able to improve on our work right now, even as a young person?
Yeah.
So for us, we have been able to see, when talk about even the leadership, we have been able to come up, we have been able to bring on board older women, people who are even 90 years, you know, to just come and have conversation even with young people, to tell them these are the challenges that we faced back in the day.
Right.
This is how we approached these challenges. These are the failures. Because also for us to have an intergenerational dialogue is for the older even generation to realize, you know what, this is what we did, but we failed. But then how can you use our failure as a stepping stone or as a lesson to be able to strategize better, to be able to organize better, to be able to have better results?
Yes.
So for us to be able to have a successful intergenerational conversation, we have to be very intentional, both from the older generation and the younger generation, to be able to see, after this conversation, are we going to hear the voices of the young people? Are we going to implement the voices of the young people? Because it's one thing to hear them,
right,
and then continue with the life, but it's another thing to actually implement what the young people want.
That's right.
Because the reason why we're having unrest is not because we have a certain hate towards a certain leadership, a certain leader. We do not hate any leader. It's because the problems that are there and the voices that we are trying to put out are not being heard. So it's to ensure that if we want to have a successful dialogue, is to ensure that whatever it is that you are even saying, you are listening to it, and you are listening to it intentionally with the aim to change or shift whatever it is that you are crying at.
Right. What is the power of documentation in all this?
Power of documentation. I think as a country, we are not doing really well when it comes to documentation.
How so?
And actually, kudos to Power 24. I remember there's a time we were doing the Maandamano art exhibition, and the way you've been able to just document the different instances that you have been able to see is really powerful, because documentation tells the story. There's a way, like right now in our, how many people even go to even the archives to just see what is there?
I don't even know that people
know
that what
people even
is.
Don't know what is in the archives.
Archives ni stage ya bus.
Exactly. Tupatane archives.
Tupatane archives ni stage ya bus.
Exactly.
Bro.
So, but then you see, I remember this when I was in South Africa.
Yeah.
I went to a place called the Library of Things We Forget to Remember. So,
the things that we forget to remember. That is such a powerful phrasing.
Yeah, it has records of people like Gavi, people like Sankara, people like
Nelson Mandela.
Yes, it has been documented so well.
Yeah.
Even as a young person, I would go just there, put on my headphones and listen to even the speech of Martin Luther King. You know, so for us is also to see how do we document each and every struggle.
Where is this? Joburg?
Yes, it's in Johannesburg.
Okay.
To just try and see how do we ensure that we document each and every struggle that we have. How do we ensure that the Generation Alpha are able to know what happened in 1969?
Right.
How are we going to ensure that the Generation Alpha, we don't forget the history of Tomboya. We don't forget the history of the Mau Mau. It's through documentation because they tell the story.
Yeah.
For us, how we've been able to do that is even through the power of documentaries, the mini documentaries. Talk about the women kingmakers. it's us documenting the struggles, the hidden struggles of women political mobilizers, to just tell the stories of, you know what, many people don't even know that women political mobilizers are the kingmakers.
Yes.
They're the people who bring these leaders that we have right now. So it's to see how do we tell the story beyond our existence.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to be here for a very long time. But then how do we ensure that our history is not eroded over time?
Right.
It's through the power of documenting.
Yes.
So I think as Kenya, we also need to really, I remember there's a friend of mine also who told me, during the apartheid struggle, South Africa has been able to document that struggle very well.
All right.
You know, they have been able to document the people who died. How do we document the people who died in parliament? How do we ensure that their names over time are not forgotten?
Yeah.
You know, because they are heroes.
Yeah.
They're people who went to advocate for change in our country.
Yeah.
How do we ensure that we even have a monument for them?
Right.
People like Chelagat Mutai. People don't know who Chelagat Mutai is.
Yeah.
Because history has eroded them.
That's right.
And for us, as Badeli, every Thursday, we
Yeah.
have a segment called Her Story, to be able to document the stories, the forgotten stories of women who contributed to the struggle, not just in Kenya, but also Africa.
Okay.
So people can catch us also every Thursday on all across our social media platforms to just read the Her Stories, to document and tell the stories of often forgotten faces. Yes.
Awesome. So time is really, really flying. As we wrap up our conversation for today, where do we go from here? You know, it's not the work of Badili Africa alone. I mean, it's great. You guys are doing an amazing job. But beyond the CSO space, beyond organizations like yourself, I think the grassroots is a place where it's people first, it's people led, it's people centered. Yeah. What becomes our responsibility to ensure that we definitely move towards the right direction? Yeah.
So we move beyond the margin of democracy. You know, the normal people.
Yeah.
And I love what even right now citizens are doing, like the Citizen TV in the morning breakfast show.
Yeah.
We are moving away from having familiar faces, having conversations when it comes to civic matters or the civic discourse. Because the person that matters most in the democracy is the Mama Mboga. It is the university student who is affected with the new funding model.
Yes.
It is the boda operator who is affected with the rise in fuel. You know, it's the conductor who is affected in the rise in fuel, because it's me who use matatu.
Yeah.
Who, whenever the fuel
uses matatu?
Yes. I use matatu.
Who uses matatu?
It's me who uses matatu. Who am affected with the hike in fare because fuel has increased.
Yeah.
Or there's an introduction of fuel levy. So it's to see how do we center the conversation around grassroots, beyond the margin of democracy. Remove the normal faces that we see on TV every day.
Right.
How do you bring Mama Mboga in Citizen TV to have a conversation about what is really affecting them as a community?
Yes.
So how do we move away from this is to see how do we invest more, even as an organization, even beyond the CSOs, for us to have sustained conversation. How do we invest more in the grassroots conversations? How do we invest more in the normal and the common mwananchi? And ensure that they are not just benefiting from civic education, but they are able to take charge based on the education that you are giving them beyond that implementation. There's something that I read. I actually had this in a TED talk.
Okay.
Is to try and see how do you even redefine democracy? You know, because voting is not democracy.
Okay.
That is my civic duty as a citizen.
Okay.
But then democracy is what happens. What is the engagement that happens in between the elections?
Yeah.
And ensure that every person is engaged. And the good thing about this leadership has made sure that everyone is politically woke.
Yes.
So how do you ensure that we cultivate that wokeness and strengthen that wokeness beyond, even if we solve our problems, that it doesn't end there?
Yeah.
Because I remember I was reading something about the people power in the Philippines, and they did well in be able to removing the oppressors, but then that ended after that happened, and then they went back to the same problem.
Right.
So how do you ensure that engagement does not end? It is continuous, even beyond elections, even as we go to elections, is by giving people the power, by giving people the voices.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Before we even go, redefining democracy. What would be your suggestion? How do we even do that?
Redefining democracy is by ensuring that engagement doesn't stop.
Okay.
Because the moment we stop engaging, we are giving power to the oppressor.
Okay.
The other time we were talking about leaders.
Yeah.
But the people we have in parliament, they are our representative. They are on donated power. Every one of us has donated power to them.
Right.
For them to be able to represent us.
Yeah.
But then redefining that is ensuring that we never stop engaging. After voting, that is our civic duty. How do we ensure we are able to engage on matters decisions, on matters policies? When there is a public participation, how do we intentionally show up for those public participations?
Yeah.
Not just as tokenism, as you say, because most public participation in country as tokenism.
It really is.
Yeah,
same faces, same names, same everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How do you tell me things that do not pass in the public participation, a leader has to come up and say, you know what, it's still passed. So that means we are not even intentionally taking responsibility of what public participation is, even as entrenched in the constitution. So it's to see how do we intentionally show up and engage on a daily basis. Democracy never stops. It never sleeps. So the moment we stop engaging is the moment we lose. So it's to ensure that we have continuous engagement and continuous capacity building and civic education to be able to ensure that we redefine the democracy.
What is the power to what power do young people of this nation wield as we conclude? If you were to address young people, young Kenyans,
So young Kenyans, we make up 70% of our population in Kenya. That means, yet we are the marginalized. We make up 70% of the population. Is to ensure, first of all, last year we had a very low turnout when it comes to elections. First of all is to ensure that we take up our civic duties. Let us register as voters. Let us show up to vote, because the moment you say, itaibiwa tu. You see when the lady from Wajir was saying, tutaiba tu. So if young people take up that and say, they will just steal. So there's no reason for me to show up and vote.
Anyway.
No, you have to show up and vote. You have to do your civic duty as a citizen. As well as after voting, you have to ensure that you are actively engaged on these decisions that are being made, because we have the power. We have the power of numbers. The power of numbers ensure that we can be able to be heard. So it's to make as much noise as possible.
Right.
To not work in silos, to also see how do we organize better aside from mobilizing, because we have the power of mobilizing, and we have even the power of digital media. We are we are in the current state of digital world. How do we ensure also we harness the different platforms that we have? I love what people are doing in TikTok. The young people are doing in TikTok. Having spaces, using their own platform to talk about matters, civic engagement. Right now, I think TikTok is one of the best.
It's buzzing.
It's buzzing with matters, politics, and civic engagement. So it's to see how do we harness, because everyone has a platform. You might be a saloonist, you might be an influencer, you might be someone who has even influence of 2 people. Right now, we have university students at home. How do we have the knowledge that we have as young people transfer it to the older generations?
That's right.
Also, is to ensure that as young people, we recognize the power that we have of numbers, the advantage of digital media, and also the voices that we already have. Because right now we have a very political woke generation.
That's right.
I love that TikTok thing that people are saying, correction. It might look like really gay, but I love it because even people in the grassroots, in the urban informal settlements are able now to understand and to be able to see also, even as from the CSO space, how do you also tailor-make. Because the constitution can look like a very complicated document.
Right.
But also, how do we tailor-make it in a way that someone from Korogosho can be able to understand what the constitution says?
That's true. Right. Where do people find you? Where do people find Badili Africa?
So I'll start with Badili Africa. We can find us in all social media platforms. We are very active everywhere.
Okay.
On on Instagram, badili_a, small letters.
Yeah.
On X, you said you want to call it X.
I will never call it X. It's Twitter forever.
On X or Twitter, as you said, it's badili_a now with the capital B, capital A. And then on TikTok is Badili Africa O.
Okay.
On Facebook is Badili Africa. On LinkedIn, Badili Africa. On YouTube, Badili Africa.
Y'all are everywhere.
We are everywhere. You have to make sure you're making the noise that is supposed to be made.
Yeah.
And also on our website is badiliafrica.org.
Okay.
So we can also reach us whenever you have any query, whenever you want to be involved with the work that we do, just be sure you reach us. Our email is info@badiliafrica.org.
Okay.
We'll be sure to get back to you and see how we can be able to work together collaboratively.
All right.
Yes.
Yeah. And yourself?
For myself,
Yeah.
you can find me at Kote Tevin.
Okay.
Across all the platforms,
Okay.
Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. And also there's a podcast called Most Wanted KE. Please listen in. On Spotify, just Google Most Wanted KE. Very amazing conversation that we're having in the current state. And it's a young people podcast. So
Awesome. Hey, young people unite.
young people power.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Mr. Kote, thank you so much for the privilege of your time. Yes, and thank you for rendering your voice. We absolutely need it, and thank you again. Ukirudi salimia watu wote. Akina Bina pale, shout outs.
Shout out to Bina.
Shout out to the Bina Maseno. By the way, is she running for office 2027? You don't want to.
I don't know that. Maybe she's in the best position
She's
to
in
say
the best
that.
place. Haya,
Yes.
nitamtafuta.
Yes.
Akuja tuambie hapa.
Yes.
Kinaga unaga. All right. Yeah, thank you so much for the amazing work that you guys are doing out there. And let's keep at it. Thank
you very much for having me.
Alrighty. Yeah, that has been our time with Mr. Tevin Kote from Badili Africa. They are having a great conversation about the power of documentation. We've also touched a little bit on some of the barriers that they are working in communities to topple over and also create inclusion for socio-economic transformation as well. We've also touched on the importance of having public philosophies and our own kind of philosophies, Pan-Africanism, as it might have been a great movement and conversation starter back in the day. How do we bring this moment with us home, and how can young people continue progressing this conversation on democracy, talk about political, economic, social progression as well. So if you missed the conversation, not to worry, it's still live on our YouTube channel. Please, you can go right there and look for that conversation and be up to speed with what we had to talk about today. But I love you and leave you. But before I let you go, of course, join in 11 a.m. Miss Caroline Murote comes in with Shiva Sessions. It's a show for all things women. You do not want to miss out on that. Then later on, we have James Wanyoike. He shall be here with Sharia Dive. It's our show where we get to deliberate on all things about the law, the constitution, constitutionalism, and everything in between the legal frameworks in this nation. And of course, it being on a Monday, I have to plug you to the ever amazing Fitness in the Word fellowship that happens each and every Monday at Nairobi Cinema from 5 p.m. all the way till 8:30 p.m. You are absolutely most welcome. Yes, it's a great time to come spend time in the presence of the Lord. We get to interact with the Word of God as well as just fellowship with believers. There's nothing that can beat that. So please come. If you want to come and say hello to me also, please come and say hello to me. I will be there at Fitness in the Word leo jioni kuanzia 5 p.m. tuonane. But until then, I will catch you on Wednesday. I shall be discussing abductions. Where are we in this country in terms of forceful disappearances? And we shall be talking to one and only Javan, the poet. He does quite an extensive work with the Missing Voices Coalition. And so we shall be doing a deep dive with that conversation. So see you on Wednesday, same time, same place. God bless. It's goodbye for now.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Power Radio.
This proves to be such a beautiful night, so I wanna stay out with you till the morning comes along now. Zulu in the air. Ken Kinyadi, Jopolo Ero, hallelujah. Give me the word and a bit of me. Mudomandi Wanyalo Yoro. And now we made it to the mountain tops. Let me take your hands, baby, lead your way. And now we're cruising to the promised land. Mind a low, better not mind a low. And now we made it to the mountain tops. Let me take your hands, baby, lead your way. And now we're cruising to the promised land. Mind a low, better not mind a low. Kai go dire atia, kai go dire. Ya kumbenya de daga ka oda siri. Kai go dire atia, kai go dire. Ya kumbenya de daga ke modo siri. Milima na mabonde, ore wa yora yora. Milima na mabonde, ore wa yora yora. Milima na mabonde, ore wa yora yora. Milima na mabonde, ore wa yora yora.
Nama chokagera rosine ke besilia my dear. Nama Kangera rosine ke gwesilia my dear. Na dear busy ona me hanga ni no dige we haraya ni no choke ogora mawa ni kohe ona tiawe kana gwe kedoge sama ta otere tane wakinya choke kuwe how get in don't get ni wacho.
Que compañía de daga ka oda siri.
Don't get ni nisa.
Que compañía de daga ke modo siri. Milima na mabonde, ore wa yora yora. Milima na mabonde, ore wa yora yora. Milima na mabonde, ore wa yora yora. Milima na mabonde, ore wa yora yora.
From sunrise to sunset, all day and night. Pawa Radio.